Yo, good people, watch the game. We live, we back, we live. This should be Pitchman Banneker.
LA Cheatham,
Yeah.
Watch the Game podcast, man. Gonna change it up this week, Pen. As we spoke earlier, I want to kind of take a stroll on campus this week or during this show. A lot going on, a lot to talk about. Usually we kick these shows off with our Chicago Bears, but Chicago Bears ain't giving us much to leave. They ain't leaving much on the bone for us to talk about. But, and paying our respect to the college football season coming down to an end, it's only fitting that we spend a little bit more time on campus talking about championship week, and that's also coming out of the Thanksgiving weekend with college basketball. Some interesting things happen when you're talking about the top tier programs, your traditional programs, and I'm talking about when the last time you can remember. Now we just talking about the number 17, the number 18, the number 19, 20, and 21st teams in the top 25 rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Duke at 17, young and kind of inexperienced right now.
First year without Coach K.
Yeah. North Carolina under second year coach Hubert Davis after going to the national championship game last year. They dropped a couple big games over the weekend, over that Thanksgiving weekend. Kentucky at number 19. Michigan State, another traditional power with Coach Izzo at number 20. And probably the most traditional power of past, UCLA. So there you go. They're right at the end, at the tail end of the top 25, and I don't know when the last time that's happened. Meanwhile, up in Texas, they hoop because Houston is the number one team in the country, and right behind them is the Texas Longhorns. Hey, I don't know if Houston's been on top since Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, Five Slamma Jamma back in the 80s, early 80s. Things
Yeah,
have really changed in college sports.
and you said Texas, man. We talking what, Kevin Durant, we talking TJ Ford, we talking Tristan Thompson, we talking all these guys, but last time they've been really notable. Shout out our man Joey Wright in Texas.
Yeah.
It's been
Hammond, Indiana,
it's been a minute since Texas been up there.
1985, Gavitt High School, Hammond, Indiana. That school doesn't even exist anymore. But I'm glad you brought up Joey Wright's name, man. It's good to bring up some of our local legends from time to time, especially from the high school basketball scene. So since you did that, I got to bring up another one because Drake Morris played against your dad. Uh, Drake Morris, 1977 All-Stater, played on the last team that went to the Final Four for the Purdue Boilermakers, which Purdue's in the number 5. They've been playing good basketball. They're
Yeah,
in the top 5 right now. They knocked off Gonzaga and Duke. But
yeah,
Drake Morris, number 33, he's going to be inducted into the Indiana Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm so glad you brought up Joey, right? Because that gave me an opportunity to talk about Drake a little bit.
see,
And some interesting things going on. Virginia at number 3, Arizona at number 4, and then Purdue at number 5.
and
Um,
didn't you say I saw Carolina lost to Alabama over the weekend, like 4 overtimes or something like that, right? I'm pretty sure I saw.
yeah, they went into 4 overtimes. I forget who they went into the 4 overtime game with though. I don't
Alabama.
want to. I'm gonna have to look that up.
It was Alabama.
Alabama,
Yeah,
Alabama, a traditional football power taking down a traditional basketball power.
Yeah, yeah.
My how things have really changed in the days of name, image, and likeness.
Hey, and Michigan, they not even ranked in the top 25 right now. They'll be taking on who I just see they playing. Is it Clemson? I think they taking on Clemson coming up
Okay.
a few minutes. I got the game on the side here. Illinois is currently taking care of Syracuse. They up 24. That game about to go off, so we don't need to talk about that one. But I'm glad that we getting a chance to go around campus a little bit. I know we've been Bears centric, and we've been telling people, "Hey, we watch the game. We watch more than the Bears." So we finally getting to roll that part of the program out on the platform. So it's good to it's good to spread our wings, so to speak.
Yeah. When I think about it, touch on the NBA, some action going on tonight. Then we can get back on campus a little bit. But I want to touch on some of that action that's going on in the NBA tonight, just real briefly, and then we can go back on campus for a minute. But um, what's this? Dallas over Golden State right now, and the Clippers are taking on Portland. The Knicks have blown out Detroit 140-110. Just for conversation's sake, and just to bring people up to the minute and in the moment of what's going on in professional basketball and the NBA. We're gonna touch on that at some time real soon, probably a little bit closer when you will get to the Christmas Day games.
Yeah,
Now that they're actually getting kind of winding down from some of the sideshow stuff that's going on in the NBA and it's worth mentioning with LeBron coming into the season with him chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, and that's something positive to talk about in the NBA, and that's worth mentioning and talking about. But lately, it's just been a lot of stuff that don't even concern basketball outside of that. You talk about the Ime Udoka situation to kick the season off with the Boston Celtics, and then you had the Kyrie Irving situations. And in my opinion, that's one of the reasons why I kind of stayed away from it. Plus, it's just a marathon; it's not a sprint when you talk about the NBA. But hopefully, by Christmas time, a lot of those stories will be in the back burner. We'll be talking more about what's going on the floor.
agreed. Yeah, and it kicked off this whole summer, with KD and the trade request, and it's kind of like we got NBA fatigue. Being that it is a marathon, it's 82 games. It's a lot to cover. It's 30 teams in the league. It's a lot of guys that's on the come up. It's a lot of guys that ain't performing up to standard. You getting a lot of trade rumors earlier in the season. I was seeing some stuff about KD after even season started. KD would welcome going back to Golden State, and I saw some stuff about a potential trade. Clay Thompson for Jimmy Butler. I just seen a whole lot of stuff. It was just a whole lot of just noise, and it's like, okay, we know when Christmas time comes, and we be settled into our storylines. We'll be settled into who's contenders, who's not. So we'll be looking forward to bringing you that information when we get to that point of the season.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But right now, jump back on campus, and you still got to be feeling pretty good about the Wolverines. The the championship rankings have came out. Uh, Georgia at number one, Michigan at number two, TCU at number three, and USC and Caleb Williams rounding out at number four. I think you got Ohio State and Alabama on the outside looking in. I think they're gonna need some things to happen. I think there's some back channels really want to get Alabama back in this thing, but those four teams take care of business. Championship weekend. I think we pretty much got the top four teams in the country set for the college football playoff.
Yeah. I'm really hoping. I'm really hoping TCU and Southern USC do their thing and take care of their business, because I don't want to open this door up to a scenario where Ohio State can have a chance to redeem themselves versus Michigan. I want them to hold that L for another 365 days until we meet again in Ann Arbor. I don't want that rematch to be coming no time soon. Not because, I feel like we can't beat them again. I just don't want them to get the opportunity, they fan base, to have the opportunity to get a shot back at us again. So, but I know TCU is taking on who's TCU got this weekend? They got Kansas State.
Yeah.
Playing Kansas State, number 13. Haven't seen much of Kansas State this year other than the highlights that they show, on halftime in between the games. So don't really have a good feel on them. I'm just hoping TCU take care of business and hoping SC take care of business on Friday night versus Utah. And we'll be seeing everybody.
Yeah, and then when you talk about those two games, of course, Friday night, as you said, USC taking that primetime slot Friday night under the lights, and they'll be going up against Utah. And then I think at 11 a.m., I think TCU will be playing Kansas State at the Big 12 championship game. Have they always? I'm trying to think. That time slot. I don't think they always played that game in that time slot.
I believe I know last year when it was Baylor and I forgot who they played. Remember the guy tried to stretch for the touchdown right at the end. They stopped him at the goal line. That was an 11 o'clock start.
Okay.
I know ACC and Big Ten usually close it out. SEC, they always play the afternoon game. But I think it's fairly new for Big 12 to be kicking off that early. But this is on my second year of paying attention to really happens on championship Saturday. So
I understand because usually Michigan they be getting ready for the what's that Fiesta Bowl, was it?
Yes, some New Year's Day bowl that I don't really care about because we didn't just lost to Ohio State. But it's a new day. It's a new day. Pandemic reset everything.
Yeah. So like 11 a.m. TCU will take on Kansas State, and then that 3 o'clock game, LSU that they just lost. Man, they had a real opportunity in front of their hands, but they dropped the ball against Texas A&M. Lost to Texas A&M going into this matchup with Georgia in the SEC championship. I mean, that's all they can pretty much do is win the SEC championship game with this. I think it had LSU kind of held, strong with their 2 losses, go on and beat Georgia. They might be a team that can get in with 2 losses, only because they had won the SEC championship, and the SEC would get a chance to, put 2 teams in again. But now with them losing to Texas A&M, they just strengthen it back for people to put Alabama back in the race. I believe Ohio State is good at number 5. They deserve to be there. They lost to Michigan. But LSU had a real opportunity to kind of shake things up. All they had to do was beat Georgia. Well, win, of course, against Texas A&M, which they weren't able to do. And then go into the SEC championship game and beat Georgia. I think they can beat Georgia now, and it won't really matter much. I mean, all it's going to do is help a team that, like the committee may want to see a little bit more, like Ohio State or maybe Alabama. I mean,
well, even if Georgia loses to LSU, I think the worst they will fall is 4 because you can't take them out the top 4, so that will move Michigan up to 1. That's if everything else holds serve. TCU will go to 2. USC will go to 3 and Georgia will go to 4. It's no way. I don't think you can take Georgia completely out of the whole shebang if they lose this game to LSU on Saturday. So the only hope that Ohio Soft Buckeyes got, that's what we calling them now, the Ohio Soft Buckeyes got, is if USC or TCU lose, and I just really don't want to see that happen.
Yeah, I just been hearing a lot about, maybe it's just conversation, just real good conversation, good headlines, but it just seems like the back channels they're trying to get Alabama in and can't really rule it out. when it comes down to just these voting processes. And that brings me to think about the future of the college football playoff, because as we were watching the game on Saturday, the conversation came up of whether or not they were going to 16 teams, but they'll be going to 12 teams.
12. Okay.
They'll be going to 12 instead. So under the new system, I don't know when that's going to take place, 2023, 2024. But under the new system, Ohio State and Alabama will still be in it. I mean, in the, going forward in the new system that we'll be having in college football in a year or two, I guess. But it's going to be interesting. And then the nightcap, we get a chance to talk about the Wolverines going against the Boilermakers. Purdue coming in after they won the Big Ten West, going down to Bloomington and beating the Indiana Hoosiers, winning the Oaken Bucket. But they're going in under a little bit of adversity. Quarterback Aiden O'Connell is dealing with a death in the family. He's lost his brother, and it was questioned whether or not he will play in this game, but they have confirmed that he will start against the Michigan Wolverines on Saturday night in Indianapolis. Are you concerned with his experience and then playing under those circumstances? A lot of times guys really play well in them circumstances. I mean, with the death of his brother, and his team's probably gonna rally behind him and be tough. And then you add to the fact that they're only driving maybe 40 miles, 50 miles up the road, maybe less, to Indianapolis, down to Indianapolis, play the championship game.
Well, I think it's multiple parts to that answer. First of all, that's going to be like a home game for Michigan. I gotta think that Michigan is going to travel well to the Big House South. That's what we renamed Lucas Oil Field now, since it's our second year there. So I anticipate that crowd will be probably 65-35 Michigan fans, maybe 70-30, something like that. Okay? We can make a on that.
I disagree with you there. This is good. This is good for conversation.
Yeah,
so we agree on a lot, but the Boilermakers are only
40 minutes. Yeah,
45 minutes, an hour up the road.
Hey, I give you that.
I mean, I think the Boilermakers going to have a lot more than 35% of the fan base coming into that building.
So let's just put it like this: if you had to tip the scale, who do you think is going to have the majority?
I would give it to Michigan, but I just think that with the game being played in Indianapolis, I understand Michigan still, this is their second time in the championship game, but this might be the Boilermakers. Is this their first time in the championship game? We got to look that up.
Yeah,
and then with them going, right down the road to Indianapolis, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be nice for a nightcap. But I just wanted to know if you were concerned with his experience at that quarterback position. Go ahead.
Like you said, it's a double-edged sword, because we know that the emotional heartstrings that can go one or two ways. You can either play really great. We seen Brett Favre do that on that Monday night game after his dad died. I think he threw like 4 or 5 touchdowns versus the Raiders. Or it can go the other way, where you just can't get out your own way. You just can't focus for whatever reason. And we know that can be a rallying cry for the team. So that part, that's a real thing. I do think the team will rally around him and try and put their best effort forward. I mean, not even just because it's the Big Ten championship game, but that's your guy. You want to be there for your guy. As far as the experience, I look at it like this. If you've been playing college football 6 years, obviously you're not a pro, okay? Because if you're a pro, you wouldn't be there that long. Second of all, you may have bounced around a lot, and now you finally getting your shot, so this your last shot to show, put some on tape. Maybe you go to XFL, whatever. I don't know, USFL, whatever. But yeah, that part from a talent standpoint, any player that's been there 6 years, 5, 6 years, like that doesn't put no fear in my heart because you obviously not a pro prospect, so that's why you still there.
I'm just talking about the game situation, and it's a big stage. It's the biggest stage he's going to play on. I mean, it may put him in a situation where he get an opportunity to be a pro at the next level. Probably not an NFL starter, but he probably get an opportunity to go to someone's camp and maybe be an unsigned free agent or whatever. I don't see him being drafted. I just think that it's a big stage for him, heavy heart situation for him and his teammates to rally the troops so close to Lafayette. It's gonna be interesting, man. Purdue taking on Michigan in the Big Ten championship
I will say
Saturday
this.
night.
I'll say this though. I'm more confident in playing Purdue this year than I was playing Iowa last year because big emotional win. We finally beat Ohio State. A letdown seemed like okay, it could really happen right here because you finally did it. You didn't emptied out the can you done emptied out the holsters. You ain't got no bullets left. Can they get that thing up and ramp it up again to go ahead and finish the job? I think this year because it's not going to be such of a new experience. Again, you beat Ohio State last year, so I don't want to say it's the norm, but you've done that before. Pretty much everybody on Michigan team, unless you're a senior, has not lost to Ohio State. So it's like, okay, this is what we do around here. They might be feeling like that. They don't know what a loss feels like to Ohio State. So I think it'll be much more of a business-like trip. I don't think they'll be having a watch party like they did last year, to see where they're going to be in the college football play. I think it's business. Go ahead, handle your business, and then we'll see y'all on December 31st.
Yeah, the goal might be big for Michigan to move on to the college football playoff and have a chance at playing for the national championship. Maybe even matching up with Georgia again after they were so outmatched last season. Um, we talk about Michigan. It's been a few days now since they had a chance to, uh, think about Ohio State beating Ohio State, going into that game, and Blake Corum not being able to play in that game. He had some unlikely heroes in that game. Excuse me. Had some unlikely heroes in that game. So now going is only going to be a week, and then now you got those guys got to turn around, and those unlikely superstars or those unlikely heroes from just a week ago, got to be called upon again. McNamara being able to play in his did he get a chance to play in last year's Big Ten championship game, if you remember?
JJ McCarthy, yeah, he did. Remember?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm getting them mixed up. I got McNamara on the tongue because we got to mention him too. But McCarthy, did he get a chance to
Yeah,
play in that championship game against Iowa? Because I don't remember.
he was in there on the one play where they ran the halfback pass when Donovan Edwards threw a bomb down the field. That McCarthy was in on that play, and when Blake Corum scored the long touchdown, McCarthy was out there leading the block, running down the field with him. So he got in last year, but it was still Cade McNamara's team last year. Just alluding to Cade, I saw that break on Twitter. I saw all of his teammates retweeting saying, "You the reason that I came to Michigan." And I hadn't even seen the official news come out to say that he was going in the transfer portal. I knew what that meant though. So yeah, I mean, I wish him the best. He's always a Wolverine to me. He got us over the hump. I seen some guys saying like good riddance and go ahead and move on. I'm like, yo, you can't say that. This dude snapped the streak. You can't talk down to him like that. So but that's best for him in his career. I think he waited a year too late to do it because I would have done it last year. But I mean, he's got 2 years of eligibility left, so it'll be interesting to see where he lands. And I'll be following, see what his stat line is, what he's doing on his new team, kind of like I do with Joe Milton. But Joe Milton ended up sitting behind Hendon Hooker. So, you stay in touch with the Michigan guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think McNamara, he's from out west,
Nevada.
so I think I would expect for him to go out west and finish his career. Um, and we like you said, it's gonna be interesting to see how he wraps up his career. Uh, Being one of the quarterbacks that was able to, he will always be one of the guys that he was one of the guys that beat Ohio State and got it and kind of snatched the rivalry back, so to speak. And it is a rivalry again, especially now with Michigan winning two in a row. Because had Michigan lost, I think it would have just took a lot of sting out of last year's victory and
Yeah.
put a lot of doubt into next year.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're thinking about it, I mean,
Yeah.
but McNamara, like you said, he was one of the few guys. He's the guy that got the rivalry, took the rivalry back in Ann Arbor, and got it back rolling. I think he'll always be remembered for that. And regardless to where he goes, that might be one of his biggest accomplishments in college football. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
It's
just being honest.
it's hard. It's hard to other than him winning the national championship, like it's hard. It's going to be hard for him to kind of supersede that moment of what it was because that game is so big, and I think we kind of lost sight of how big that game was because Ohio State had been dominating it for so long. I just saw Fox posted the other day that was the most watched college football game this year. Last year, I know that was the most watched college football game. Like that game means a lot. You judged on that game for the rest of your life and what you do in that game. So, yeah, if he don't win a natty or win a Super Bowl or something like that, that'll be the biggest moment probably of his football career.
Yeah. And also, I think that being that he was able to win that game, it can only boast for him to be play at a high level wherever he goes because I don't think the stakes would be that high again for him in college football. I mean, we talk about week in and week out. So I think he'll be able to go somewhere where he can really hone his craft, while the recruiting or the transfer portal might not be as evident as far as bringing in more competitive athletes. He'll have a chance to, with his Michigan resume, go somewhere and be a big fish in a small pond, so to speak, and kind of just continue to build on his craft at being a quarterback. And who knows what his future will be as a pro. But uh, will always be remembered as the Wolverine that beat Ohio State big time for Cade McNamara as he moves on in his college football career by entering the transfer portal. Um, it's Bears Packer week, and not a whole lot to talk about other than the injury report and the future of these two franchises. Two teams that's pretty much out of the playoff race. And I heard that Aaron Rodgers still wants to play in this game. Now, I mean, that could just be, you know, chalkboard material, you know, prepping, making sure, getting the Bears to prepare for Aaron Rodgers. But I really would think that it would be probably better for them to take put Jordan Love out there and let him play. Um, Brett Favre's dealing with two injuries. I think rib injury and a finger injury on his throwing hand, maybe a thumb or a finger. And of course, we know that Justin Fields is dealing with his injury as well. So it's going to be interesting later on in the week to see who actually gets the chance to play in this game. As far as the Bears, Eddie Jackson's been put on injury reserve. And Darnell Mooney, he's done for the season. He's put on injury reserve. So, what you expect going into this Bears Packer game at Soldier Field on Sunday as we get ready to wrap up? What is there to play for? What do you think?
It's a big question mark. It's a big question mark because it's just so much uncertainty around this game. We don't know what Justin gonna do. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers gonna play. We don't know if we're gonna get a glimpse into the future with Justin and Jordan Love. We don't know. Are we gonna get to see N'Keal Harry? Are we gonna get to see some of the guys? Are we gonna get to see more involvement from Chase Claypool? We have no idea what to expect. So I'm really going into this game with kind of just like no expectations, just hoping the Bears get a win. I don't think that win is going to be as sweet as if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play. I know it's still the Packers, but you told us you owned us, okay? I want to beat you. I want to beat you. Jordan Love ain't said nothing to me, okay? Other than just wearing the wrong colors. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be interesting because I think how you sum it up again is just a big question mark. Like, who we gonna see at tailback? Are we gonna see Demo get a lot of carries? Are we gonna see Ebner out there this week? Are we gonna get to see 20? What's 21's name? I forget his name. Darrington. I forget his last name. But what are we gonna see from the Bears? Are we gonna see the defense improve? Are we gonna see Brisker back on the field? Are we gonna see Gordon back on? Like, what are we gonna see? We have no earthly idea. So it's just, again, I'm just putting a big question mark. I wish I had a question mark that we could just throw up on the screen right now. That's all I got for you.
Yeah. Brisker and Gordon were both out with in concussion protocol. I think it's going to be interesting to see if they play in this game. For those two guys, to be honest with you, if they could come back safely and play through those situations, I think will be a good experience for those guys just to get back on the field and play. But it's always going to be, we talk about concussions, it's always about safety first, as it is with pretty much any injury. But that's probably one of the injuries that get a lot more focus in the NFL and throughout sports as well, the concussions protocol. So you got to be careful with that. But those two guys, that's why they missed the game last week against the Jets. They were in concussion protocol. Uh, but just to see I mean, we can't deny we're going to watch this game, but with sort of different expectations or what is the goal? I mean, just and then they go into the bye week, and then I think the Bears come out of the bye week, and I think they got like the Bills and the Eagles. It's going to be interesting how they finish out the season. Right now, I think they're number 2 in the draft if the NFL draft was to go down right now, but. We'll be looking forward to it, but it's not as big as what we talked about earlier. It's championship week for college football, so I think I'm gonna cozy up this week. I think I'm gonna try and clear. I gotta kind of see if I got any high school basketball games to scout on Friday night in the area. But if not, I think I'm gonna cozy up, you know, and I'm gonna watch Caleb Williams Friday night going up against Utah, so I can get a better look at him. And that takes me into the Heisman race because that's going to be the next thing coming up with college football. Is the Heisman Trophy candidates. As far as Caleb Williams is pretty much still in the show right now, and I think it's really because he's playing hot he's like everything is dwindled down. Okay, your Bryce Young was injured for a couple games, but he's still been playing well. But
Right.
Alabama's not in the national championship run, so kind of takes some sting away from him. And then we weren't really high on
CJ
uh,
Stroud.
C.J. Stroud, and the performance he had against. I mean, he put up good numbers against Michigan, but they didn't get the win, and then you take them out of the national championship contention. I mean, just not a lot of pop for him being considered to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Um, I still believe up to this point, as excited as you were about seeing Michigan win against Ohio State over the weekend, Alabama and Tennessee still the best football game I've seen all season.
Yeah.
those two guys, Hooker Bryce Young, they put on a hell of a show. They put on a hell of a show. The best game I've seen all season. But
Hands down.
um,
Hands down, that's the best game.
yeah, and then with going into the Ohio State game, C.J. Stroud was of course big time as far as Heisman Trophy candidate, and so was uh Blake Corum, but he didn't get a chance to play. And it brings me back to the fact if he's going to be healthy, or would they even take a chance at playing him against Purdue? Now, this is the thing. I believe that Donovan Edwards will get the opportunity very early in this game. I believe that Blake Corum will dress this game, but if Donovan Edwards can hold it down, it will kind of like rule Blake out completely. Because I do believe Blake's going to dress. I do believe Blake's, if it comes down to it, he'll try and play.
I gotta think that they're gonna shut him down this week. I think he'll dress, but I don't think he'll actually get on the field because it's you don't need Blake to beat Purdue, and that's not slighting Purdue, but when you got Donovan Edwards in the monster game that he had versus Ohio State, and that wasn't his first game doing that. He's been putting up yardage before that game. So I know a lot of people probably hadn't known that. If it was me, if it's my coaching decision, Blake, you address, just to be, in uniform with your teammates, but we got bigger fish to fry. I got to think that we're going to get this done. And then I need you ready December 31st. That would give him a whole month off to heal that bruised knee. We heard Reggie Bush talking about in the pregame show before the game, Michigan-Ohio soft game last week, that he said when he got banged on his knee, that was like a 3 to 4 week injury. So we talking about that'll put him right around 5 or 6 weeks by the December 31st game. So I gotta think you gotta protect him from himself because he may have a pro career. Let's start there. And you need him to win the national championship. So I don't expect to see Blake. I think the combination of Donovan Edwards, C.J. Stokes, J.J. running the ball like he did last week, and that defense will be enough to go ahead and take care of the Boilermakers.
Okay, well, it's been real. I think that'll wrap it up for me tonight. I'm looking forward to the end of the week. Looking forward to those games gonna be played. With the college football conference championships games this weekend. NFL going into what, week 13?
Yep, week 13.
And then, I'm gonna look at that schedule. We already talked about the Bears and Packers. Buffalo starting out, gonna kick that week off in New England against the Patriots. And since we want to turn our attention, I'm trying to look any big games going on in the upcoming week. So we got Kansas City in Cincinnati. I think we can call that a pretty big game. Miami and San Fran. That's a pretty big game. The Jets playing Minnesota. So we got some pretty good games, man. When you talk about playoff teams matching up with each other, week 13, some pretty good things going on in the NFL this week. We got 1, 2, the Eagles playing against the Titans. Hey, this might be the best week of NFL football this year. When you're talking about the playoff teams, actually matching up across the board. I mean, it's a lot of good games here, man. Another thing to think about: Cleveland, and then we out. We gonna be out. But Deshaun Watson getting his chance to come back after being suspended, 11 games. He's been practicing with the Cleveland Browns, and he'll be going to Houston. His first game will be back in Houston. Now, don't get me wrong now. It's just a storyline, but it's interesting. It's a solid weekend in NFL. It's a story. You got to talk about it.
No, I'm just saying, ain't it just funny how that worked out? His first game back is versus Houston.
I knew that. I knew this before the season got started. When they first announced his suspension,
yeah,
they made it. They also said that his first game would be back against Houston. So yeah, it's all about the money. It's going to be an interesting week this weekend in NFL, man. From Thursday night on,
we got
it's a really good.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this NFL schedule. So after the college football championships are decided, we still got quite a bit to look forward to on Sunday.
Yes,
Damn good week. Good week.
This Sunday will be one of those days where I turn the game, the NFL on at 12, and it's on all day. 12 o'clock game, 3 o'clock game, Sunday night football. Like I love those Sundays like that. I'm sure we'll break in a little bit and talk about Bears Packers. But yeah, this is a great weekend coming up. I'll probably give me some Portillo. That's the only thing. I don't think we all gonna get together on Saturday because I think 12 is gonna be getting back right around game time or something like that. He got something to do, and this Big Ten championship, like I can't be fooling with no DVR. So I think I think we might just jump on FaceTime and be talking or something like that. So that's gonna be the only change. But I will have some Portillos this weekend. Gonna have me Italian beef, and Sunday look like we got a great slate of games. Man, it's still the most wonderful time of year. I know it's winding down college football, but it's still the most wonderful time of year.
Hey, it's Watch the Game podcast. Thanks for joining us. Hey, last but not least, the Team USA have qualified for the knockout round.
Did they beat Iran? They beat Iran. Listen,
we covered it all, man.
Listen, when I tell you about this World Cup, hey, it's messing up my Skip and Shannon because I cut it on in the morning and I got soccer on. I'm like, I need to get my information. So, but I'm glad to hear that we have qualified for the knockout round.
All right, man. Watch the Game podcast. Share, like, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please do that for us. We get back with you. Bears Packers week. Championship week in football, college football. The ball's bouncing in NBA and in college basketball. Watch the Game podcast. We out.
We out.